Hello, my name's Leon from Nintibuzz, and today I will be reviewing Mario Party 10. Now, some of you may have thought that I had a little nibble at a poison shroom, and to be honest, half of me is thinking that I did. However, let's see how it goes. First things first, Mario Party 10 has players travelling across a range of wacky boards together in a vehicle to see who can get the most mini-stars. These are usually earned through mini-games which you play when you land on a specific space, but they can also be earned by going through mini-star gates. This mechanic has been present since Mario Party 9, where it replaced the mechanic of players splitting up and repeating the board for several turns to collect the most coins and stars. You also used to play mini-games at the end of every turn, rather than when someone lands in a minigame space. New to the game is Bowser Party. This allows up to 5 players play. 4 will be in the vehicle as usual. However, this time they have to work as a team to keep their distance from the 5th player, who's playing on the gamepad as Bowser. If Bowser catches up with them, then everyone has to play a 1 vs 4 Bowser minigame. There is also Amiibo Party. This allows up to 4 players to use amiibos to play on a small board that repeats itself, similar to the old Mario Party mechanic. As I do not have the compatible amiibos, I was unable to try this mode out, unfortunately. Well, I've seen some gameplay online, but I won't say anything much about it. Now, on to the review. Let us begin what we found good about the game. And yes, there are still some good factors about a Mario Party game. The first thing which should probably be mentioned is the Bowser Party mode. This is definitely a very interesting mode that makes some good use of the Wii U gamepad. It's very unique, and I bet if I actually had some friends to play with, yeah, I'm pretty lonely, then it would be much more interesting. Some of the mini-games are pretty decent and make good use of the gamepad, such as the one where all the players are on a small pinball table and Bowser tries to hit them with spiked balls. Or when you have to move the gamepad around and blow into the mic to breathe a fireball at the other players. Talking about minigames, Mario Party 10 definitely has some brilliant new additions. One of my favourite minigames is Fruit Cahoots. Nice. In this game, there's a conveyor belt with apples and bob-ombs. There are 7 rounds, and each player has to decide whether or not to push the button to move the conveyor belt to the left by 1. And you have to try and get the most apples, but avoid the bob-ombs. What I like about this is it really makes you think on your toes to make a good choice, as you have to make sure your opponents get the bob-ombs, but making sure that you get all the fruit. I'll be honest, there are only a few minigames which I don't like, and that's a lot less than most Mario Party games. Unlike a lot of people, I actually enjoy the car concept of Mario Party. I see reviews that constantly go on about how it doesn't have any strategy on it, but I call bullcrap, or perhaps they're just too lazy to bother. There's actually quite a bit of strategy involved. You're constantly thinking about how many spaces you need to roll to make sure your opponents will get mini stars? Z stars, let's call them. It's hard to pronounce. They basically take away mini stars. And you also have to think about what path you should take as well. I do quite a bit of forward planning on several boards because I'm devious like that. Some of the boards are quite creative, or at least structurally they are. Maybe not as creative as boards from previous games, but they're still a lot of fun. One board has you jumping from airship to airship, but after every roll, the ships will move, and this can have a devastating effect on you, or maybe even your opponents. This is because some ships may have loads of mini stars, whereas others will have loads of unlucky spaces and Z stars. Later in the board, Bowser will board his own airship and will target certain squares to shoot bullet bills at. If you land on one of these squares, your mini star count will be halved. Oh no! What makes the boards even more enjoyable is see how nice the graphics look. Everything is bright and vibrant and just looks so nice and polished. I was recently playing Mario Party 8 and either my TV is really bad or whoever was in charge of the visuals were incredibly drunk. Some of the mini bosses and bosses are very creative and act as an extra long minigame. That just has to be the biggest oxymoron you've heard. One of my favourite mini-bosses is the Mega Cheap Chomp mini-boss. At the beginning of each round you have 3 shells to shoot at the Mega Cheap, and every time he has been hit, he rotates clockwise. Once the timer runs out, whoever he is facing will get attacked and will lose 2 points, adding that element of strategy to the minigame. However, some of the mini-bosses and bosses do feel like they drag on for a long time, so easily become frustrated. Finally, the whole game has been streamlined so that players can jump right into the game without any faffing around. One thing I particularly like is the fact that you can now drop up to 2 computer players, so if there are only 2 or 3 human players, then you have more time to play rather than waiting for the CPU to take their turn. Now is the time which probably a lot of you have been waiting for, but let's talk about what is bad about Mario Party 10. First things first, there isn't really much to unlock in Mario Party 10. One thing I loved about the previous Mario Party games is the fact that there are quite a few things to unlock, such as special minigames and more. But the only things to unlock are 2 characters, a new mode, some vehicles, music and models for photo mode, which is okay. It's not the best thing, photo mode. It's probably worth maybe 10 minutes playing around with. Now, this may seem quite a lot for those who haven't played it, but it really isn't, to be honest. You can play around with it for a few hours and then you get bored. The only thing worth unlocking is the music and new characters. The interfaces are also too simple. Yup, the thing which was a pro also has a dark side. Also, the minigame instructions can be a bit too simple. Some people may like it, but I like a bit more info. I like reading about this minigame, the controls, the advice, all that jazz, but there isn't much of that, and it can sort of throw you in clueless because it only gives you a simple overview and maybe a few controls. Though I said that the boards are creative, I only thought so in how they were designed, but the theming, once again, what's with the theming? The theming was a bit meh. It's just too generalised. It's almost like the levels to every new Super Mario Bros. Game. Though I do enjoy the car mechanic, I still prefer the old style gameplay. I think it's more fun having the boards loop like they used to, and players being separated from each other. I like collecting coins and normal stars. I like having a minigame at the end of every turn, and I'm sure I'm not the only one out there who enjoys that. The content of the game is pretty lacking. I think it is the least content-filled Mario Party game to date. There's even more to do in Mario Party 1 on the Nintendo 64. There are only 5 boards in this installment, and all of them are unlocked from the beginning. Obviously, I'm not including the Amiibo boards as I haven't had a chance to try Amiibo Party. There aren't many extra modes either. There are 3 minigame modes, one which is free to play, tournament, and then there's coin battle. There's also Bowser Challenge, but that's basically all 10 Bowser minigames in a random order. There's also a badminton mode, which isn't very fun at all, to be honest. It's worse than Wii Sports Tennis. And Wii Sports Tennis, don't say that, Wii Sports Tennis is pretty fun. You basically, in badminton mode, you hold the controller on its side and yeah, it's not very fun. There's also a puzzle game, which is okay, and there's Bowser Junior Challenges, which there's only 2 small mini games and it's not even worth playing. Also, another thing which I dislike is there's no story mode. Pretty much every Mario Party game has had a story mode of sorts. Mario Party 1 has the minigame map thing, and Island Tour had Bowser's Tower, yet there isn't anything like that in Mario Party 10. The mini-games don't really take much advantage of the Wii Remote. Most of them are either point and click, or you hold it on its side like a regular controller. I actually liked some of the motion-controlled games from Mario Party 8 and 9. It added that extra fun factor to them. And those which do include motion controls in Mario Party 10, they can be very unresponsive. For example, there's this one where you have to flick the Wii Remote upwards to jump, and it would always do it very late, so I'd be like, flick, jump, which isn't very useful. The majority of the Bowser minigames are generally boring. a lot of them feel uncreative and hardly make proper use of the gamepad. For example, there is one where the 4 players choose a bingo card, then Bowser rolls the dice 5 times with a flick of the wrist, and that's pretty much it, nothing else. There's not really much replay value. After you play every board and play around for a while with the minigames, there's not much else to do really. You'd probably only get repeated joy from it if you had a few drinks with a couple of mates and wanted to play something, but even then there are probably more funnier choices for those who like to become intoxicated, though I don't really think that's the target audience for Mario Party 10. As I said earlier, I do not have the amiibos for Mario Party 10, so I haven't been able to try out Amiibo Party. From what I've seen, it looks okay, but not something that I would play a lot. Who knows, like I said, I haven't tried it yet, so I don't even know. Overall, it isn't a terrible game. It does do some things right, but it also does a lot of things badly. I really wish I could love this game, but I just can't. If I were you guys, I'd probably wait until it goes on sale or purchase a pre-owned copy. £34.99 is just too much for it. I'd say about £20 is a more reasonable price, maybe a tiny bit lower. Anyway, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being absolutely trash and 10 being the best thing since sliced bread, I'd rate Mario Party 10 a 6.5. It has beautiful visuals, the mini games are mostly fun, and the boards are quite interesting. However, the interface is just too simple, most of the Bowser mini games are boring, and content is generally very lacking in the game. So, what do you think of my thoughts on the game? Have you played it before? What do you think about it? Tell us in the comments below, either on YouTube or on nintybuzz.com. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.